Welcome back, everyone, to the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. It is I, Germani DePena. Alongside me is Jack. Jack, how are we doing today, my man?
Doing good. Doing good. No complaints. Up relatively early, so we're gonna get the day started.
Absolutely. I know it's around noontime over here on the East Coast. I know you're on Pacific time, so I appreciate you getting up around. I believe it's like
Yep,
9 over there, something like that.
9:30 at this point. Yeah.
I've been talking to you since like probably like 7 a.m. your time, so I appreciate the dedication.
Yeah, I was up a bit earlier than I wanted to be. I had to take my roommates to the airport a couple days ago, and I had to wake up at 7 a.m.
Hmm.
And I'm just now realizing that I forgot to turn that alarm off. It hasn't woke me up the last couple of days, but today for some reason it went off.
Absolutely, I hear you. I'm more of a morning person myself, but all right, so let's get into this. We got to talk about we got some MLB stuff to talk about. Got James Harden situation, pretty much the matchup against him versus the 76ers going on right now. And then at the end, if we got time, we got some video game stuff we can talk about. And also, I know you said you wanted to bring up an NFL story that's been kind of prominent the last few days. But yeah, let's get right into it. So MLB right now, kind of like the main talk of the town, which sucks because it's not really about the sport itself, but one of the young up and coming stars in Wander Franco, and
No pun
potentially
intended.
Wander Franco never playing in MLB again. Potentially, there was a report that came out. I believe it was from one Hector Gomez on Twitter, but then later reposted by Bleacher Report Walkoff that Wander Franco may never be playing in Major League Baseball again due to allegations of him having a relationship with a 14-year-old girl, and I feel like a scumbag just having to like just air it out like that. But no, but yeah, it's a very very crazy situation at the moment, which sucks. So Jack, I wanted to get your thoughts, and just I want you to tell me about how you're seeing the situation, and yeah, just give me your thoughts and just talk about like just from your perspective how you make of all this stuff going on right now.
Well, the first thing that I kind of noticed or took note of was just like how like totally random of a bombshell it was. And I know like with something like this, pretty much at any time it would be a bombshell, but I feel like in, even in like a case like this, you would maybe hear rumors of something like it happening first, or you would maybe hear one person reporting on it. But with something like this, I swear to God, I was like legit just on my phone, like going through TikTok or on Instagram, and then all of a sudden I see a report, and I'm like, he did what now? I had to like reread it a couple times because I was like, it's like what? So it's like it's 2 p.m. on a Thursday or Wednesday or whenever it was. But I mean, obviously with something like this, I mean we don't know everything yet. We don't know what the full story is. We only know what we've heard in that one report. But I mean, obviously, in America, it's innocent till proven guilty. Works a bit different in the MLB, obviously. When there's the optics of something like this, they kind of have to prevent you from playing, at least for the time being. But, I'm not going to sit here and fully say 100%, he's guilty and needs to be publicly put to shame. But, I mean, if it is true or even like a little bit true, then, I mean, yeah, he deserves to spend the rest of his life in prison.
I would say for my point of view, like all in all, it sucks. I feel like absolutely, it's like there's plenty of cases where stuff like this has come out, and like people will be so quick to assume. But just from what has been going on, I kind of I'm just waiting till we hear like a final verdict. But just something that we hear in terms of him may never being able to play in MLB again, that says a lot because if you remember the Pirates once had a really good all-star closer in Felipe Rivera or
Yes.
Rivera, but Felipe Vasquez after his sister, and he had a relationship with a young girl as well. And now he is I'm not even sure. I think he's in prison, or all I know is
Well,
he's
didn't he also beat her too?
I didn't hear anything about that. That may have been the case as well,
Yeah, I
but
thought maybe he also like assaulted his
yeah.
girlfriend,
So
but maybe it was also.
but all in all, it kind of looks like the same situation. And notice how he's never been in MLB ever since, and which was a damn shame because he was a really good pitcher, and just outside stuff, just the way guys go about their personal lives, it can ruin you. And something like this, it sucks because Wander Franco, he was the number one prospect in baseball, and he was pretty much going to be the leader for the new generation of Rays players, and just how well that team must have been playing, especially in the first half of the year. Now, ever since the All-Star break, they've been playing 500 ball, not really just solely because of this stuff going on just
And that's
recently.
losing guys left and right. I mean,
Yeah,
Shane McClanahan,
absolutely. Like that
came over.
Exactly. So it's a damn shame because like those guys they're pretty much in the middle of a divisional crown, and yeah, all this stuff seems to all been crumbling down at once. Like you said, some of these guys like Shane Baz and like McClanahan, like you referred to earlier, and now you got Wander Franco potentially may not ever be touching the field again. It really will put a damper on things, and it sucks. And it just is crazy because also I'm like, you're on TikTok and stuff like that, the content creator Speed, and I'm pretty sure you've heard about what happened to him either yesterday or the day before.
I've heard some stuff. What specifically was
he
it?
flashed the camera by accident during one of his streams. If
that sounds about right.
Yeah, so and it just sucks. It's like people in prominent places, like professional athletes, like you're on a higher pedestal. You get put on a high. You have higher sense of expectation. Yeah, exactly. Like you have a platform,
especially when you're the franchise shortstop.
Yeah, 22 years old. Like you're a kid. You're gonna do dumb things, but this is just like, again, we got to just wait to see what like the ruling is on the whole situation. But if it's anything like the Felipe Vasquez situation from a few years ago, then Wander Franco may be one of the biggest waste in talent that the MLB has ever seen, and it's all because of just a crazy outside situation that had nothing to do with the game of baseball, which is unfortunate.
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, I feel like it would even succeed or surpass being just a bad decision. Like a bad decision is like, maybe a young kid or a younger player goes out and drinks too much. Like maybe you get a DUI or something. But this just seems like so far beyond that. And I can't even, like, when it happened and I'm like sitting there like just thinking about it and like the decision making, it's just like you're a 22-year-old multi-millionaire starting shortstop for the Tampa Bay Rays. It's like you could probably realistically do pretty good in terms of surrounding yourself with women. Like, it doesn't seem like that should be really a difficult thing for Wander Franco to do. And it's just like, to do that is just like, I don't know what the thought process was. Like, if he thought this was going to just not come back to bite him. The other thing that was interesting to me too was, I don't know if you read the article that Carl did on it, but in the article he put in the supposed like exchange of text messages between Franco and the girl of him like refusing to pay the hush money because I guess he was supposed to buy her like a Mercedes and a couple other things and give her some money in order to keep her quiet, which to me indicated that like maybe this isn't the only time or the first time something like this has, happened. If he's, already, even talking about paying hush money, then, maybe it's something he's done before.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to read Carl's article. Sorry, shout out Carl. But I did hear about those details about I believe it was $200,000, and yeah, it was like I believe it was a Mercedes. So I did hear about those kinds of details, and for sure, it's just absolutely it's a very difficult thing to kind of really talk about in terms of just not understanding all the facts. We're really just some of it for the most part is just speculation, and obviously more information is going to come out. So this is just us speculating here. I'm just looking at it from from not even a business perspective, but just a baseball perspective, I should say, because
Yeah.
now, like we talked about already, he's one of the young kid. He's a young kid and one of the young stars of the game, and like pretty much the franchise player next to Randy Arozarena for that Tampa Bay Rays team, along with McClanahan and all those guys, and potentially losing that because of just dumb decisions off the field. And like again, what players do off the field is none of our business, but also you gotta hold them to a higher standard in
Yeah, I
terms
mean,
of
when it's something like
professionalism.
this, it
Yeah,
becomes
yeah, yeah. So
everyone's business.
yeah, yeah. It's like you can like something like that. Like if like it's like take someone like Mookie Betts, who's like in the spotlight and it's like it really hasn't done any wrong off the field or anything like that. Like we're not too worried about what Mookie's doing, because like these guys are keeping their noses clean and doing all that. So I think it also just it's just also like just a maturing thing, but it just sucks because last year we had Fernando Tatis who got caught up with PEDs and got that huge suspension and all that, and then now we got Wander Franco getting into this kind of situation that he may not be able to come back from. So
You just hope it's not true. I mean, just really for everyone's sake. I mean, for his, for the girls, for MLB fans. I mean, you just for some reason hope that none of this is true and it somehow all didn't happen and is a hoax. But
as of right now, it's not looking good. So we just have
yeah,
to wait and see what MLB makes of it. And but yeah, for the most part, at least at this moment in time with the report that came out, we can be speculating to think the worst. But again, we will have to get more details and more information, and we'll be sure to keep you all up to date. But moving over to a little bit more lighthearted story in MLB. We're going to be talking about Walker Buehler. Obviously, he's the Dodgers, one of the Dodger aces over there, out there in Los Angeles. And just recently, Fernando Valenzuela, one of the great Dodger pitchers, finally got his number 30. It was 34, correct? I believe Fernando had. I believe it was 34. Was it 31? I think it was 34. I'm gonna say 34.
I'll double check because I think it's in the Slack right here. Or let me just look up Fernando Valenzuela. 34 sounds right. Yeah, 34.
Okay. All right. So now, yeah, getting his number 34 retired by the Dodgers, and Walker Buehler said in an article that he wants to see a rookie Cy Young award or pretty much a rookie of the year for just strictly pitchers for in honor of Fernando Valenzuela and his pretty much like his absolutely crazy start to his MLB career with the Dodgers. I believe they called it like Fernando Mania or something like that, because he was putting up great numbers when he first got signed and first started pitching for the Dodgers. Absolutely. But I want you to talk about what are your thoughts on something like that? Should MLB like not even just for like a rookie Cy Young award, but just more awards in MLB in general?
I don't know. I mean, in theory, I guess it sounds like it would be cool, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bit old school in my thinking. I think there's enough. I think there's enough awards now. I mean, you already get a rookie of the year on each side. That's already a chance for a pitcher to win it. I mean, I know in years past, pitchers haven't won it as much, but I mean, you had Devin Williams win it in 2020. Ohtani is a bit of an anomaly, but he won it in 18. But then Fulmer won it with the Tigers. What was it, in 2015, I want to say? Or
I think
something.
so. 2015, 2016.
So, like, I mean, pitchers have won it in the past. I mean, there's been guys in years past that have also been in contention for the award, like Trevor Rogers. I think that Jonathan India year had a really good year as well. I mean, offense is just more exciting, so the bias tends to go more towards offensive players. So I could understand it in that sense, but I mean, I feel like there's enough awards as it is now, and it just makes it kind of that much more impressive when a relief pitcher or a pitcher does win Rookie of the Year for one of those awards. I feel like if you add, strictly a pitching Rookie of the Year, it just kind of sullies it down a little bit. But maybe I'm just old school and traditional in that thinking.
I mean, I get the argument. I think that's a good way to look at it. I feel like I look at that the same way as like I look at like reliever of the year awards and look at MLB and like it makes sense because you got starting pitchers who are in contention for Cy Young. Those guys pitch more innings. They're probably in not more high leverage situation, but pretty much they put more strain on their arm and their numbers are going to count for a whole lot more over the course of an entire season.
So I agree
And
with
then,
that.
but then you got, but then you got like somebody like Eric Gagne who won the Cy Young as a closer, and like, and I feel like just to your point, because I'm agreeing with you in this sense, it's like if there's a pitcher who is that damn good coming out of the gate, he's gonna win Rookie of the Year. Like if he's pitching like an ace that's been in the league for like 7-8 years, he's gonna win Rookie of the Year. And I also think I think it's more of where Walker's coming from. For me, I think it's more just to honor what Fernando Valenzuela meant to the game of baseball, especially for at the time when he did pitch, and kind of like that. His best years were with the Dodgers, of course. So I think it's more him wanting to highlight that as well as like highlight rookies in a sense as well, our rookie pitchers, just because like to your point, yeah, like offense is probably looked at more prominently because even if they see a guy with like a 3 ERA for his rookie year, they're going to look at somebody like, I don't know, maybe like Pete Alonso or even like Aaron Judge when they came in the league and put up like, say like they put up like 35, 40, 50 home runs in the rookie year. And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to vote that guy. So I feel like there's like give and take to it, of course, but I do think there's a lot of awards that players can win already. You got the Silver Slugger, Gold Glove. It's like,
yeah,
I feel like one more wouldn't hurt, but also if they wouldn't end up entertaining the idea, then I wouldn't be mad at it either.
yeah, and if they, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. Like if they did add it, it's not like I feel like it's the end of baseball. Like I mean, everyone was totally overreacting when the pitch clock first came out. I mean, I loved it from the jump. I immediately figured that it was going to be great for baseball and was going to be what it needed, and it more or less pretty much has. I mean, I personally have enjoyed, even just on TV, enjoyed watching baseball games much more now because of the pitch clock. But yeah, and I mean, like a reliever of the year, I think that would be like a cool award as well, just because I think that's a bit different, just because I think relief pitchers are so much different than starters, and that they're like pretty much almost like their own position. So like recognizing that, I feel like is a bit different, just because like in today's day and age, I mean, relief pitchers aren't like Felix Bautista has had pretty much about as close to a perfect
Nasty.
season
Nasty.
as you can have, and he probably won't get really realistically any votes for Cy Young. And I mean, like, I can understand why, like you said, like adding even like a relief pitcher of the year award would be cool. And if they added like rookie of the year specifically for pitchers, I wouldn't hate it. But then like I was saying earlier, like I feel like now when you think of like relief pitchers that won MVP, like Eric Gagne or like Dennis Eckersley or Raleigh Fingers, it's like, those are like some of the greatest relief pitchers of all time. And it's like when you think of those names, it's like, they're part of a list that's, 6, 7 names long. But yeah, I mean, if they did add it, I wouldn't really hate it. But if they didn't add it, I don't think it affects baseball too much.
No, I see. Like, I do like the same way you brought up the pitch clock, and I'm actually glad you kind of brought that up because I'm gonna ask you a certain question about the pitch clock in a second. But yeah, just to close out this discussion, I feel it's great to highlight players, especially young players, for what they do. To highlight a great season, especially the first season in the league. I think they may go a different route, just like they have like kind of like team of the year, or I believe it was like all MLB teams. Like, why not do what the NBA does and do like all MLB rookie teams and stuff like that? Just like I get it, highlight the rookies who have done well and just reward them for their hard work and helping pretty much be that beacon of hope for more or less maybe a team that's kind of been at the bottom of the barrel for the last few years, and they're looking at you as being like the next franchise altering star. So that's just my 2 cents about it. But no, but yeah, going
to a bit weird with
yeah,
too, with guys
absolutely
come up for like 30, 40 games, like barely be eligible or be technically eligible.
You got guys being like 27, 28 being labeled rookies in MLB these days. So No, but yeah, going to the pitch clock, especially kind of like winding down as the season's going on. We're pretty much in the dog days of summer, and then September's going to be rolling around pretty soon, and more or less like a month and a half, we got the postseason. So I wanted to ask you, talk about like your opinion on how the pitch clock should be implemented in postseason play. Should it just be the same? Do you think they should take it away, or do you think they should just make it a little bit longer? Because I feel the postseason is drastically different than the regular season, especially with something like this.
It's what, at 15 now? I think maybe at the most make it 18, 19, maybe 20. But I mean, even if they were to go into the postseason and keep it the exact same, I realistically wouldn't hate that. I mean, like I said, I honestly love the pitch clock. I mean, I think it should have been implemented years earlier. I mean, I know people love to hate on Manfred, and I mean, he's far from the best GM that or not GM commissioner the MLB's ever seen. But I mean, I think the pitch clock has been amazing. I mean, when I was doing an article on it a few months ago, I was just looking up some numbers on it, and the average game like 2 years ago was like over like 4 hours, almost like 4.5 hours, 4 hours, 15 minutes. And it's just that's just not, that can't happen. I mean, it was happening, but it was just killing baseball. I mean, especially when you're competing with, the NBA, where the games are, about 2 to 2.5 hours. And same with NBA is kind of around that time frame. In baseball, it's like it's already such a slow sport as is. And it was obnoxious when a guy takes a pitch, steps out of the box, takes off both his gloves, takes off his helmet, scratches his side of his head, puts his helmet back on. And next thing you know, he's taken, a minute and a half in between a pitch. And it's just like, come on, dude. Like, we're trying to speed this up somewhat. And then, I mean, yeah, now the average game I saw is a lot closer to that 2.5, hour span. It's like 240 or 250 now. So I think the pitch clock's been great. I enjoy now a lot more actually watching games and getting to kind of get through them a lot quicker.
I would say for me, I do appreciate the pitch clock a lot more now. I think now, at least the fact that the way they were implementing it in spring training got me annoyed with it a little bit, because they had like just a big ass clock just right at the side of your screen, like in the stadium. So it's like, the hell, like I'm trying to watch the game. Why the hell is that damn thing like just, it's just big and just obnoxious? But yeah, so like I thought 15 seconds was a little low, but as I've been watching the games and whatnot, and it seems like the players have adapted. I can say I adapted to it too. So, having like the pitch clock, I would say I was wrong, and I would say it was a good idea. Especially the only thing I had a gripe with was 15 seconds, and I still think maybe 15 seconds may still be pushing it a little bit. I was saying.
Thing at the start was that maybe 15 was a bit too low right off the jump.
Yeah, I talked with Milo about it a few months back before the season even started, and we were saying like around like maybe 20 seconds. 20 seconds would probably for me would kind of be perfect, but I would say in the postseason, now that people are so used to the pitch clock, I feel like they'll kind of have to implement it in the postseason at some point. Or if they take it away, it would be weird, but I think for postseason games, people are going to be invested in them anyway, because MLB survived this long with like how crazy fan bases get during postseason games. I don't think a pitch clock being there or not there will be kind of irrelevant. But for me, I think it would, if MLB and people feel like it wouldn't take away from the playoff experience, then yeah, for sure, I would say keep the pitch clock in. Probably change the timing a little bit of it, of course, because pretty much I feel the pitch clock was to push along this, like, just the games for the season, because like guys, like, imagine playing 4.5 hours worth of baseball, or having to sit at the field for 4.5 hours. Like, they wanted to pique interest, but also kind of optimize the flow of the game as well to kind of keep the game moving. So I don't think the postseason has that problem, but I mean, if they were to still implement it, I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I feel like I still love this game even after the 15-second pitch clock was introduced, and would have loved this game far after wherever the hell else they do with it. But that's just my opinion on it.
Yep. I mean, I'm pretty much the same way. I love I love me watching baseball, regardless of what happens. And I mean, yeah, like you said, pitch clock in the postseason isn't going to deter, the loyal fans that are watching. It was just a way to speed the game up. And I mean, they had been trying. The thing was, the writing was on the wall for the pitch clock years ago, but the MLB didn't want to do it because they knew that it would kind of create a controversy. So that's why they, really, they released the pitcher, the three batter minimum rule for relief pitchers, and they started it in the minors. At this point, like what was it, like 3 or 4 years ago, I think is when they first maybe started it in the minors. And so the writing was always on the wall for it, but it was just kind of one of those things I think the MLB was kind of hoping they didn't have to get to. But I mean, the game was just, it was way too long.
No,
The
for sure.
average, and I mean, you could see it in the average fan base. I mean, the average fan in the MLB is by far the oldest. It's like close to 60 or something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's a crazy number.
Let me see my age of.
Are you going to confirm?
Yeah, I don't know. Not out on social media platform. That's going to be a lot lower. Okay, it's not popping up on here right now.
I mean, I'll take your word for it. I feel like it's pretty much going to be older than like any other like the NBA. Especially, I feel like the NBA will be more like on the younger side. But no, but yeah, for sure. Like baseball seems like kind of like the old head
53
sport.
years old is what I'm saying.
I mean, we weren't super far away. I mean, either way, I feel like I don't find that surprising, but I'm just hoping like with these new implementations, like they're gonna allow that number to start coming down a little bit. But no, but yeah, like pretty much long story short, I think like the pitch clock's great, but it's just interesting to see what they were doing in the postseason. But yeah, okay. So talk about the Wander Franco situation. Talk about Walker Buehler wanting a rookie Cy Young award or pitching rookie of the year, and also just spoke about the pitch clock and hopefully seeing how it's implemented or not implemented in the postseason. Got all the MLB stuff through, so let's talk about some basketball. Let's talk about the NBA. Let's talk about pretty much kind of like the main story going around the NBA at the moment with training camp starting up pretty soon. James Harden requested a trade from the 76ers, and it's pretty much just been a saga and just a battle between James Harden and the Sixers. So pretty much, long story short, James Harden wants to be a Clipper. So, but yeah, Jack, I want you to talk about just like how your feelings about the situation, how you see this kind of playing out for Harden, because he's come out and said that Daryl Morey's a liar, and he's kind of stuck. He's kind of like dug in of being
Daryl
like, get me the
Morey
hell
is
out.
a liar and can't be trusted.
I'm gonna want you. I want you to just talk about the whole James Harden situation from your point of
Well,
view.
yeah, I mean, obviously, as many people know, I'm a Philadelphia sports fan. I've unfortunately been a Sixer fan all my life. And I mean, really, this whole saga, the whole situation has just been, it's been just like a kind of roller coaster of like not really knowing what's going on. 'Cause, I mean, yeah, now at this point, I'm going to have to think back a couple months back to when it seemed like we weren't even going to re-sign him. Like the initial thought was that we weren't going to re-sign him. He was just going to go off into free agency and sign a deal somewhere. And I was all like, cool. He seems to want like a max. I don't want to give him that. He's not, in my eyes at this point, deserving of a max contract. So if he wants to go out somewhere and make, a F ton of money, go let him do that. We'll, hopefully bring someone else in or use that money somewhere else, whatever. And then like a couple of days later, I see another report. I like on Instagram, I follow like this guy called John Clark, who's kind of like a Philadelphia correspondent, social media guy, I guess if you want to say. He just kind of has the inside scoop for all things Philadelphia sports. And then he puts out a report saying like, this just saying, James Harden staying in Philly. They're going to agree on a deal, but it's going to be a sign and trade. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll sign with decent contract. Maybe we'll get decent package, can just kind of offload this money. Absolute worst case scenario, maybe get some pieces back. And I'm like, all right, well, that should hopefully be the end of it. And then a few days after that, another report says, oh, no. The Sixers are actually just going to keep James Harden. He's going to be on the roster next year. And then I'm like, okay. I mean, the contract, I guess, wasn't horrible. I'm drawing a blank on it. I think it was like 3 years, 107 million.
I think I honestly don't know. I think he may have just picked up his player option for like 30 something million, and he's going to be a free agent after this season.
Was it? Because I thought, yeah, like
I don't think they got an extension done with him, because I think the main thing with Harden is he wants a big money max extension from someone.
Yeah, that does sound right. I think it was we just picked up that ridiculous player option that was worth godsend amount of money. But yeah, so then the report says no, he's staying and he isn't going to get traded. And then I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll run it back and get eliminated in the second round again. And then like a couple days after that is when the start of the James Harden stuff comes out. James Harden's out here saying Daryl Morey backstabbed him and lied to him and hoodwinked and bamboozled him and hit us with a Stephen A. Smith level of dramatization, records the video, let me repeat myself. And yeah, now, I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen. It's just, the thing is obviously I don't know. I can't speak on what was said behind closed doors between Daryl Morey and James Harden. I don't know if Daryl Morey, looked James Harden in the eyes and shook his hand and said, I will trade you before August 10th or something like that. And then Morey just didn't do it. I don't know if it was one of those situations or more likely, or it was a case where Morey was like, I'll try and get you traded, but we'll see what happens. You're almost 40 and, well past your prime, making money that would indicate that you're in your prime. So it might be difficult to offload you. And then he's doing the thing that like Damian Lillard's doing that I hate, where he's all like, well, I only want to get traded to like one team. And if you don't trade me to that one team, then I want to make a scene. And it's like if it was really that big of a deal, then you could have just signed with them. Like if
you that.
Yeah. Perfectly put. I mean, if you wanted to go to the Clippers so bad, could have signed there. But I can guarantee you he went there and said, pay me a max. And they laughed him out of the building. It's probably what happened. And then he was like, all right, well, I'll come back. And then hopefully Daryl Morey will work some magic and get me traded. And then, surprise, surprise, the Clippers don't want James Harden. And I don't really blame them.
I would say this about the whole James Harden situation, because I've watched videos about just the people putting in their 2 cents on what they think is happening. So I would say this, because from my understanding is that James Harden took a pay cut when he re-signed with the Sixers last year. I think it was like a 2-year, like a 1-in-1. So like that player option we were talking about earlier. So he took the pay cut so they could be able to get more guys, get like guys I believe like PJ Tucker and some of his old teammates.
Melton.
Yeah, and I believe House and some of those guys too. So yeah, that happened. So this is just purely speculation, and it's pretty much like somebody putting this kind of out there in terms of like NBA Twitter and all that, is that Daryl Morey promised James Harden a good guaranteed contract, or that contract he's been looking for his entire career. It seems like that crazy max extension he wants, and he said, you take this pay cut this year and we'll do it, and we'll take care of you next year, which is illegal. They can't do that. But so that's what they think happened. And then Daryl Morey kind of just went back on that whatever, like handshake, like hush under the table agreement. And like that's just like the conspiracy going around. And that's why Harden's saying, oh, Daryl Morey's a liar. You can't do this. You don't trust him. I don't want to play for this team anymore, all that. So I feel it's just a matter of kind of he said at this moment. But yeah, it's making it real interesting to look at. But I'll ask you this, since you are a Sixers fan, what would you like to see happen to kind of like just all this culminate and like what you want? How would you want the Sixers to go about this?
At this point, I mean, he really can't play at this point. I mean, it's clear that he just won't play, I think, if it comes to it. Or just refuse to play, maybe. But like the issue is you can't really trade, like no one's gonna want him in a trade. Like at this point, like maybe the most I feel like the most ideal scenario would have just been when he initially declined the player option. Because I remember specifically him declining the player option at one point. Could have sworn there was like reports that he was going to decline it, and then like a couple days later, another report came out saying that he actually was going to sign it or something like that. So I feel like the most ideal scenario would have just been him not coming back at all initially. Just he goes his separate way, tests the free market. Some team gives him a good contract, and we avoid having to pay him really any sort of serious money, and hopefully use that money to go bring in, a higher end superstar. That to me would have been the most ideal scenario, just a kind of clean break of things. Harden goes on, does his own thing. Sixers go off in their direction. And, you just kind of end it there. Obviously, we're well past that point. That's really no longer an option. So, I mean, I feel like if there is a package, like at this point, obviously, you can't honor the trade to the Clippers. Like the Clippers have already basically come out and said there's no package that would work on really either side that would make the trade work. So that's clearly not going to happen. And expand your options, see if there's somebody else willing to, for some reason, take him on. If you got to get shafted a little bit, you'll take it, especially if it's just kind of dump salary.
Yeah, be like an addition by subtraction situation.
Yeah, but it's clear that he can't be in the locker room and playing for this team. It's just clear that he'll be too much of a cancer with the other team. And he has no respect for Daryl Morey. I just don't see him even if it does get to the start of the season and he's still on the roster, I couldn't see him like playing, or even if he is playing, I can't see him like really caring all too much.
I think we'll probably be in store for like a 2020 Houston Rockets James Harden situation, and that's the problem, because like the new CBA that was signed, I believe this past season, they pretty much have like a Ben Simmons rule implemented now. So from my understanding, it's if you're in the last year of your contract and you refuse to play, then the way it works is that the James Harden cannot play professional basketball anywhere else. So like they'll forego the contract, but he can't play professional basketball anywhere else. And the Sixers will get to decide when and if James Harden can play professional basketball again with anybody. So pretty much it's like that money would just kind of go up in smoke, and the Sixers' cap would open up and all that. And this is if Harden were to not show up and not honor the contract, pretty much. So pretty much the whole Ben Simmons fiasco that happened when he was still on the team. So it's like I feel like for Harden, it's a lose-lose for him, because you're on a team you don't want to be on, but also if you go about it the wrong way, then you're screwed, because then at that point, say the Sixers do end up trading him, even to the Clippers where he wants to go. Let's say he did pull the stunt that he pulled with the Rockets. He came into training camp out of shape, then he played like crap, and then he gets traded, and then he has to work his way back, and he's probably still playing like crap, and then you become a free agent, and nobody's going to pay you anything because you played like crap. So it's real interesting to see. I think he may ultimately just get traded, or if not, he's probably going to start the season, just play, and they probably may go, say like the season starts off kind of slow, they'll be like, all right, we're just going to pack him up. I feel like there's going to be a way that the Sixers are going to be able to attack this, because I think Harden's smart enough to realize the situation, and he's pretty much just throwing out like nonsense just so he can just try to kind of push the pace a little bit in terms of getting a deal done or just getting him out of there. But who's to say that this isn't going to happen again to whatever team he gets traded to? So that's why I feel like teams are scared to death of trading or even signing if he became a free agent, signing James Harden to be a part of their team, because like it's just this will be what his fourth team in 4 years or something like that. Like ever
Yeah,
since he left Houston,
Brooklyn. I think it's third, right? I think it's third.
yeah. So like Houston, and then got traded to Brooklyn midseason, then got traded to the Sixers. I guess like the season after that, and then yeah, it would technically be his fourth team in
Oh
4 years.
yeah, if he goes, yeah.
Yeah, if you're counting Houston as well, but either way, that's just bad. That's just bad.
Yeah,
All around for like the same reasons, but real interesting stuff there, and hopefully the Sixers can find their way out, like can kind of find a way to navigate and kind of like just settle things down, because it seems like off season after off season is just like drama after drama, and yeah, and the person like that we haven't talked about really at all that's probably affecting the most in terms of the 76ers is Joel Embiid, and just like it's kind of like just it's kind of just natural to think like if things like this keep going on, like I don't want to even want to like put it out there because I honestly don't think it's gonna happen, but
trade the process.
yeah, so like that's kind of like something I've been kind of like thinking about, because like he has been acting real weird on Twitter recently, especially with all this stuff going on.
Embiid's always weird on Twitter.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't see that happening. I feel like people would love to insinuate that, but I think at least then it's not going to happen anytime soon. I feel like that's something.
If within the next like 2 or 3 years the Philadelphia 76ers traded Joel Embiid, Daryl Morey and that entire front office will have to start leaving the Wells Fargo Center through a underground unmarked tunnel going into a unmarked vehicle, because
They'll be wanted men.
Yeah, there will be a price to pay that will only be paid with all of their heads on a spike. If they're out here, if they just end up trading Joel Embiid, I mean, because like I was saying, I really hope this isn't true, because this organization is just so dysfunctional and has been pretty much my entire life. It's like being a Philly sports fan. It's been pretty good, having the Eagles and
Yeah, like ups and downs, peaks and valleys.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have pretty much been a good, well-run organization since I was a kid. They didn't have the Super Bowls when I was younger, but those Andy Reid days, we were still good. The Phillies won the World Series, when I was 6 years old back in '08, and then we're there in '09, lost to the Yankees, and then we're good for a couple years after that, and then fell off a cliff. But
I mean, it was a damn shame.
With the Sixers, it's just been it's been pretty much, once I started getting into basketball, was the start of the process where Ish Smith and Tony
Roten,
Tobias Harris, Tony Roten, Evan Turner, Nick Young, Thaddeus Young were out there starting games. Back when Drew Holiday was winning Rookie of the Years, I feel like a lot of people forget he was a dog on the Sixers. Drew made his first All-Star game. Because I remember hearing a fact that he had the longest gap, I think, between two All-Star appearances for a player, because his first one was back with the Sixers and before Joel Embiid was even in the league. But yeah, it's just been a lot of dysfunction with the Sixers, and then a lot of missed picks. I mean, Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz kind of been the two big ones. I mean, not having Jason Tatum from that draft. I mean, trading up with the Celtics to number 1, getting absolutely fleeced, only to still take the wrong guy. I mean, it's just still to this day haunts me. And then, I mean, yeah, the Ben Simmons Atlanta Hawks series was a heartbreaker. And then
why?
I was just going to say it, but yeah, the Kawhi Leonard shot. I mean,
I don't want to. It's not even the rubbing salt in the wound, because it's a damn shame. Because
yeah, just I've seen it so much, but that game was just so funny, because I remember watching that game and seeing how crazy Kawhi Leonard was going. And I remember during that timeout, I swear to God, on everything, I look over at my dad during the timeout after the Jimmy Butler layup, and I say, I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but Kawhi Leonard is going to make this game-winning shot. It's like, I don't know where it's going to be from, how it's going to happen, but Kawhi was just so locked in for that series and that game in that fourth quarter. I was like, Kawhi's making this shot. And sure enough, he shoots a fading
Half a gainer in the corner.
corner behind the backboard over Joel Embiid, a 1 in 10 million shot, and it goes in. But yeah, I mean, the entire process has kind of built up to this, to Joel Embiid being an MVP player and being able to build around him. And we still just haven't really done it. And it's getting frustrating.
I would say there's going to be like some decisions to make, not even with like the whole James Harden situation, but just as like the just being able to run that organization a little bit better. There's pretty much countless things we could talk about, just like front office stuff and organization wise, that that definitely probably could have put the Sixers in a better spot.
Yeah, and
And
that's Tobias Harris getting paid a supermax over Jimmy Butler will, in my mind, never make sense to me. It never made sense when it happened. When I first heard the reports that it was even a decision, I was like, this shouldn't be a decision. It should be Jimmy Butler by a lot. I don't know what crack our front office was on when they made that decision, but it was some good stuff.
that's that secret process sauce.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it went straight to the head.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah. So let's just kind of like just move the Sixers and just Philadelphia like sports over to the side a little bit. I know that was probably a little bit rough to kind of go down memory lane there. So I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, it's all right. The Sixers have done enough for me. The Sixers just rough, man. I'm hoping brighter days are ahead. I'm just focusing on the Eagles. We got NFL coming up.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. I wanted, speaking of football, actually, I know you said you had a football story you wanted to kind of discuss, and that's kind of been making the rounds online. So, based off one of the better movies of the 2010s. So, yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you are familiar, and anybody listening is, I'm sure, very familiar with the movie The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock. Won her first Academy Award, I'm pretty sure. Came out, I forget when at this point.
I think it might have been 2010.
Yeah, God, what now? 13 years ago. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm sure we've all seen The Blind Side. The touching, very heartwarming story of Michael Orr and the process of the Toohey family adopting him, in air quotes at this point now, but the Toohey family adopting him, bringing him in, and kind of giving him the backbone or basis to kind of start and formulate his NFL career. And, it was a really touching story, especially based on the fact that it was supposed to be based on a true story. And, the Toohey family gained a lot of recognition for it. Michael Orr, obviously turned it into an NFL career. And it was overall, a very touching story. And, kind of after the movie came and went, nobody had really kind of heard anything about the family or himself. I mean, he ended up finishing off his career, I think, in 2016. I think he won Rookie of the Year. Didn't make any Pro Bowls or anything like that, but made a decent career for himself. And then he became an author, I think. But for the most part, neither one of the two sides really was in the news too much. And then just like a few days ago, a pretty big story dropped where Michael Orr came out and basically said that the whole Blindside story was basically a lie, and that he was never adopted, and that the Toohey family actually tricked him into signing a document that made them his contributor, I think is what the word is, or contributor. I'm trying to blank on exactly what it was, but basically what it was it gave the family, gave the two parents the permission to make business deals on his behalf and make money on his name and sign like business deals and whatnot in his name without him present. And then he also claims that he didn't receive any money that was made from the movie, all the royalties and money that was made from the movie. He claimed he didn't make anything from that. And so overall, it was kind of a big bombshell piece of information. I mean, no one had heard anything about this story pretty much since it came out, and then all of a sudden it was, well, the whole thing's a lie, and the family's actually ripping them off. And then just like yesterday, the Tui family kind of released their statement and their side of it, and they pretty much obviously were saying that the whole thing isn't true and that what he's saying isn't true. And I believe they went on to say something along the lines of he was doing it in some attempt to stir up business, or not stir up business, but get his name back in the media for he's doing like a book signing. And then they also said that, or threaten them, saying that he would plant a negative story in the media about them if the family didn't pay him money. So I mean, it's obviously another case of he said, they said, as it always is. We don't really know what's true yet. I mean, I feel like it won't be. It's like something that I feel like won't be too difficult to prove. I mean, there's always a money trail. It'll be easy to see if Orr was given money from the movie, or if he wasn't given movie, or if the family was given money that they didn't give to him. I feel like it won't be too difficult to track, but it's certainly been a crazy situation. I mean, social media kind of went crazy with it. I'm sure you maybe saw videos and memes. I saw plenty of TikToks on it.
I saw like they just it's like, oh, it's almost like he got blindsided and like
Yep,
just seeing all those kinds of jokes about it. For me, it's been a while since I watched The Blind Side.
same.
But just hearing that story come out, I'm like, my goodness, it's like it's crazy how like how time works when it comes to those kinds of things. It's like pretty much it's like, oh, maybe somebody grew up with that as like an inspirational story, like you said, it was very touching and very heartfelt, and just to figure out, oh yeah, this movie's just it's more fiction than fact now, like based on a true story, yeah, that's just misinformation at this point
Too
now.
good to be true.
Yeah, I feel like there's projects and movies and like things like that that put that tagline in there just so people may pique people's interest a little bit more. But yeah, but just hearing about it and just like the way you were kind of articulating it was it's like, well, damn. Like, I mean, either way, it's like whether like there's accusations being thrown out from both sides, and it kind of makes both sides look worse than before. Like the movie was great. We could have just left it at that. But
Yep,
I mean, nowadays, like I feel like a lot of these kinds of things always fall back to like to money and like
yep.
that, like either money or fame or power or something.
That's what I said. There's always a money trail.
Yeah, so I'm like it's a damn shame whether which part of it's true or not, but it's just a damn shame to kind of like kind of tarnish the memory that a
Yeah,
lot of people may
sully the
have.
story a little bit.
Yeah, just like even with the movie and just like maybe how people felt about um just felt about it altogether, and probably that whole situation before all these stories started being published and all that. So from my end, I look at it as a damn shame.
Yeah, the thing that, and I mean, obviously, like I said, we don't know who's telling the truth yet. But the thing that's weird to me from Michael Orr's side is how long it's taken him at this point now to reveal this. Like, I mean, like you said, the movie came out in 2010, and so this, what supposedly happened to him, would have had to have happened well before then, if they, supposedly tricked him into signing these documents and didn't actually adopt him and didn't give him this money. It's like it's been now at this point, like I said, 13, almost 15 years. It's like why now? Almost like this doesn't seem like something that you would necessarily just hold on to and sit on. Like if you were getting robbed out of or gypped out of that much money and found out that you were lied to for that long, I feel like you'd pretty quickly or pretty immediately would be pissed and would come out and say something. Like it would seem weird to me to just sit on it for 13 years and be like, I'm just going to hold on to this really big piece of information that could potentially change the entire outlook of what my life has been up until this point.
That's very true. I would say that's definitely a story I'll probably keep my eyes on just to see how it plays out.
Definitely.
but yeah, that's been absolute. It's a lot of controversy over these last couple of weeks. Not even just
Well, yeah, and the little taste stuff, I'm sure you heard about.
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
When she was dead, and then maybe dead, and then not dead, and then her
Yeah,
brother,
yeah. It's like I don't know. And then
and
there's
then her brother
actual
was dead, and then not dead, and then the
yeah,
dad did it apparently.
not even that. Some people are actually like prominent figures actually passing away, like news stories going into sports and being like it's the world is in a weird place right now going into the fall of this year. So just got to take it one day at a time, absolutely. But yeah, talked about MLB stuff, talked to NBA, and talked about a little bit of the blind side and things like that. We're coming up to the hour mark here, so I'm all good. I know, Jack, if you got anything else you want to add besides the blind side stuff, I'm all ears. But
No, I think for me that's probably pretty good.
all right, okay. Well, with that being said, appreciate everybody for tuning in today here on August 17th, 2023's installment of the Vendetta Sports Daily Show. And if you guys want to continue to show your support, pretty sure to show your support on Twitch and YouTube, where the podcast and the Daily Show will be taking place, as well as go and check us out on VendettaSportsMedia.com to stay up to date with all your favorite sports, to stay up to date with the NFL and probably particularly the blind side stories, as well as the Wander Franco stories and the other stories we talked about today. But with all of that being said, Jack, I really enjoyed doing the Daily Show with you today, my man.
Yep.
Yeah, with all that being said, everybody stay safe out there, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your Thursday.